Hi, I'm Nadine Hill from Juggle Mum, and I'm here with Mari from Mari's World. Hi, Mari.
Hello, hi, good to see you again.
Well, the two of us have been doing a series of brand bloggers. Can you see behind me? Hashtag brand bloggers. We've been doing a series of Google Hangouts, Mari leading some and myself leading some. And the purpose of these Hangouts is to discuss how brands can work with bloggers, how bloggers can work with brands, and how to get the most out of that relationship. This is my session that we're leading, but we are both equal contributors and we're really glad that you're joining us. What we're going to discuss today is how to get the brand message across. So the first thing I want to do, Mari and myself have both worked with many brands over the last few years. We're going to discuss when we have a brand to work with, how do we progress that relationship? So I wondered, Mari, how do you feel about that? When you get a brand to work with, for example, we were both ambassadors for Butlins. That's a company we've both worked with. We've both been ambassadors for Panasonic, again, another big company. When you get an email in your inbox and it says, yes, I want you to work with me, how do you work around that?
Well, I think my first reaction is, whoa, I get really excited and think, yes. And from that initial reaction, I start already brainstorming ideas. But I suppose it's a kind of putting yourself in the future. Oh my goodness, I wonder what's going to happen here. I wonder what's going to happen there. Will it be lovely? Or just the receipt of an email can actually start ideas, and it's worth just thinking about those ideas and jotting them down to one side. Usually I wait a tiny bit before I go back to the email, because otherwise I can come over as really gushing, you know, oh, I'd really love to do this, and I just think I need to step back a bit and write my email with a nice calm head. And I like to, you know, obviously thank them for their interest in me. I like to give a few ideas. So from that initial brainstorming session, a few ideas of what I'd really like to do for them. I also ask, you know, please feel free to tell me what you'd like, you know, what you're specifically looking from me. I will mention my social media channels. So saying, you know, I've got this Twitter account, Facebook account, Instagram, Pinterest, exactly. Let me know where your interests are. Obviously, this would be for a high value product or holiday, like you say, or anything like that. I think there's a different way that you work with a low value product, but we'll come on to that a bit later. But that, I think, is my initial approach in reply to the email. How about yourself?
Yeah, it's same with me actually, Mari. I do initially get so excited. Yay, they want to work with me. But I do the same thing as you. I like to just then, after the initial excitement, take a step back from it and see what is it that they're proposing, what is it that they want out of the relationship, and then I have a think about what I want out of the relationship. Because even though you, for example, you might be benefiting from a holiday with your family, which is lovely, it's a good, even working with a brand, yes, you get the holiday and then they get the publicity, but once you've got your kind of foot in the door, in a way, it's kind of a shame to let that relationship just go after the initial holiday or review or whatever it is that you were doing with them. So what I like to do is kind of think of ways in which I could add value to our relationship, and what are my talents, so that I can bring that into the relationship. So something that I love to do is video blogging. Not all bloggers are comfortable being on video. That is something I like to do, so I would consider that one of my skills. So I would say to them, how about we do a video on this or something like this? Using the example of Butlins, at the time when I went to one of their resorts, MK1 were performing there. I don't know if you remember, it was a few years ago, but on the X Factor, MK1 were one of the bands that got into the final, and they were kind of a bit of a hippie hop, you know, really cool.
Yeah.
You remember them?
Oh, they were cool.
They were cool, and I really liked them. It was a great style of music. I loved them. And I was there having a weekend with my family, and I just thought, wouldn't it be great if I got to interview them? So I just tried. I picked up the phone to my contact at Butlins. I said, look, I'm here, they're here. Can I interview them? I'm one of their ambassadors, so maybe that'll help me get in there. Whereas if I was just a normal holiday maker, they'd probably have said no chance. But because I was a Butlins ambassador, they all pulled the strings behind the scenes to get me in front of them. I wasn't able to video interview them, which is what I was hoping for, because they had management there. as a gatekeeper, but I was allowed to ask some questions, which I was then able to write up on my blog and get my photo taken with them. So that's an example of a way that ambassadorship presented an opportunity that I was able then to seize to get something that no one else had, which was an interview with a very famous at the time on X Factor band that had just been released.
Brilliant. So how do you go about when you get like a lower value product, do you think?
So when I get a lower value product, actually it's interesting, I've just had an email this morning, and it's from I'm just wondering whether I should name them or not. I don't know, as you know, but it's from a bakery company.
Think what product it is.
It's from a bakery company, and they want to send me a £20 voucher so that I can try their breakfast products. And yeah, I'm happy for a £20 voucher to try their breakfast products. And immediately I was thinking, even though it's a low value item in the grand scheme of things, can I do something with it? I'm not going to do a blog post on a bakery's breakfast products. You know, it's just not very interesting. But if I could find a way of doing a blog post that would get their breakfast products in there, and then they're happy, but I might pull in other brands as well. So rather than it just being a one focus on one company, I would then think, okay, so if I'm doing a post on the fact that people are too busy to have breakfast at home and they're eating breakfast on the go, well then I've used this breakfast, you know, this company's products here, and then there's another company that does this, and then maybe there's a healthy option that delivers snacks to your desks at work or whatever, and I might pull in several other brands to tell a story around the subject of the fact that everyone's eating breakfast on the go and not at their desks. So yes. I don't just accept it at face value what I'm offered. If I'm offered something and I think, yeah, that sounds all right, but I don't just think, right, okay, I'll write a blog post on that. Who wants to read a blog post about breakfast products? It's boring.
Yeah, the way I look at it is, if something low value comes through, first of all, is it something that my family would genuinely like and use and eat or try? If it ticks the box as yes, then let's go for it. If I have the time, you know, and then I will decide how I go about it. And I like Instagram, for example. It's one of my favorite social medias at the moment. And I think you can get across a huge message via Instagram. And I would not just take a photo of the packaging. Again, it would be the kids enjoying, if it was a bakery product or if it was a beauty product. I would look to do something artistic. So it brings out my creative skills a bit, you know. There's all sorts of different things that I get contacted about, from a packet of crisps to bottles of water to beauty products, and it does get your mind working, you know, how you can use these various channels that we have at our disposition. Yeah, so
absolutely. Well, just on that subject, you mentioned about Instagram. I too, Instagram's like my favorite social network. It's just such a happy place. I love Instagram.
It is, yeah, I love it.
And it's a lot of fun, and you get a glimpse into other people's world. But like you, for example, with the beauty product scenario, I probably wouldn't want to like have a photo of me with no makeup or putting on the product. So who needs to see that? It'll crack everybody's phone screen.
We both did the Juvederm, and that was with no makeup on, or was getting ready. Do you remember?
I must have been feeling very brave that day. But on Instagram, what I would do, like yourself, I would try and do a shoot using the products, but try and display them in a nice way. Yeah. I'm kind of at the moment getting my influences from I suppose the few Australian and American bloggers I'm seeing who are the way that they approach their blogging is very much kind of like, it's like a magazine style shoot, you know. The photos that you're seeing would be worthy of being in a glossy magazine. Yeah. And that's the kind of thing that I like to aspire to, because over the past few years, I've been really working hard on improving my photography. And I think I've done a good job, but obviously there's still a long way for me to go. And anyone who is further along the road than me would look at my stuff and say, yeah, it's all right, but maybe that wasn't lit very well, or I'm still learning. So
I'm exactly the same. And I've really enjoyed the process. You know, when I go back to the beginning of my blog and look at those first photos that I took, you know, sometimes I cringe with how far I've come along and how much I've learned, and that's by reading other blogs and, you know, looking at other bloggers like you say yourself. You know, the skills come along literally just by continuing at it. And I'll always learn, always be something for me to learn on the way, I think.
I think that's the beauty of blogging though, isn't it? Over the past 6 years, like you, Mary, I was just mentioning to you before this call, I'm revamping my website, and I've been going back through 6 years of archive to cherry pick the best content to take with me to my new platform. And I'm looking at some of the posts I wrote back in 2010, 2011, and I think, oh my God, it's really bad. I mean, first of all, they're not long enough. There might just be one paragraph. I'd been watching Carrie Bradshaw on Sex and the City with her questions, and I thought that's what blogging was.
Yeah.
And as it's developed over the years, I'm obviously putting more content in and more detail and more photos. But my early stuff, there's some things I've enjoyed, and I've looked at them and saved these posts so that I can look back on them. But there's also some where I've just cringed and thought I won't be sorry to let that go into the virtual dustbin.
You know, I also think it's good because looking back at your old work, you can see mistakes, and I use that word very loosely. Maybe it would be better to say how you could have done things differently with various brands, you know, because we have now 6 years of experience behind us. So working with Butlins, what was it, 4 years ago, 3 years ago?
It was a while ago. We were the first, we were one of the first ambassadors.
Yes, we were very fresh to the whole scene. And although I'm pleased with the job I did, looking back, it does show me how I can improve. And of course, one thing is I've learned over the years is about brand message. You know, I think it's very, because we're talking about, you know, how to get the brand message across today. And I think it's a good idea to actually speak to the PR or to the company who are sending the product and say, you know, what is the story here? What's your idea? And because that's in vital information for you to get through as you continue writing.
I agree with that, and I would actually say that the beauty of being bloggers, and that each of us has our own situation and our own preferences and hobbies and things. One company could go to 10 different bloggers and say, this is the message, this is our campaign, this is what we're trying to promote, and get 10 completely different angles on the product or the service or whatever it is that we're talking about.
I love that.
And I love that too, and it means that we're all, I mean, we are all unique, and everybody has their own voice, and it's important to get that across. So in terms of making sure the brand's message is communicated through what you're doing as a blogger, I suppose we could share a few tips. I mean, one of the initial things that I would do, I'm very much a fan of the old school pen and paper. You know, I have my notebook. You know, we might work in digital worlds.
I'm surrounded here with paper and pens.
We play with pixels, but I do have my notepad and pen here, and very often I might do a bit of a spider chart, and I put the brand in the center, and then I'll do offshoots. So what could this brand, you know, what's that message that they're getting across? And it might be, if it's a family oriented brand, which a lot of the things that we get are, being, you know, the kind of bloggers that we are, you know, you could think of different ways of promoting that product. So using a holiday company as an example, you go on the holiday, well, the children have got things like fun fairs and rides and, you know, swimming pools with water slides to get excited about, but mums have got the relaxing element of the spa to get excited about.
Bring it on.
Two very different posts and two very different angles. So a bit of me time for mum and a bit of excitement time for the kids. So I tend to like put a few ideas and flesh a few ideas out on what I can talk about, so that it helps to get different aspects of the brand's message across.
Sure, yeah. And of course, I suppose the last thing to touch on before we sort of close this session is it doesn't finish just with the blog post, does it? Because we have all of our other social media channels. So it's worth taking into consideration tweeting, put it on your Facebook for all the people that are on there, both on your profile and your page if you have one, using a YouTube, like you say, you know, they are all ways of getting that brand out there.
Absolutely true. And just something you've touched on that's just made me think, actually, Mari. Yeah, we are bloggers, and we are very centered on our own blogs because they're our little corner of the internet that's just ours. But I have to say, I'm increasingly doing more video. I used to do just a video every time I thought there was something that needed videoing. These days, I'm thinking first, how can I get a video in about this? That instead of thinking of the blog post first and the video second, my approach has been the other way around lately, because I'm actually noticing that the video content that I'm putting out there sometimes can inform what I might do with the blog, because having started to build up a following on YouTube, I'm now getting comments from people who I don't know from Adam. You know, in the blogging community, we all kind of know each other and we all help each other out, and we're in Facebook groups together and we talk all the time. But there are people commenting on my YouTube content who I don't know at all, who are nothing to do with the blogging community. And they can often throw in an idea that I'd not thought of. And so that would then inform what I'm going to write about in the post.
Brilliant. You got anything else to add, or?
Well, I suppose we've mentioned about using the different platforms, you know, Instagram and YouTube and Facebook, etc. Something that I'm starting to get into at the moment more so is Pinterest, and
I love Pinterest.
It's taken me a while to figure it out, I have to confess. Twitter, I got straight away, got it, I understand it. But Pinterest took me a while, and I feel like the penny has now dropped. I kind of just did it because I thought I should do it, but I didn't get it. And now I feel like I get it. So something I'm doing more of, and wanting to make sure that brands are represented there too. The only thing is, a lot of brands tend to just have a Facebook and a Twitter at the moment, don't they?
Yeah, everything takes time, doesn't it? It's all about organizing your time and making sure that when you do take a brand on, you cover it over as many channels as you can.
And also, absolutely. And also just to think, like, when you do take a brand on, just sort of before you do take that brand on, giving some thought to what you can bring to the table before you accept. Because I suppose the temptation for a new blogger might be say, yeah, let's do it, and then be stuck and thinking, how am I going to approach this? And so it's quite good to have a really good think. And don't be frightened to turn things down if they're not relevant for your blog, or if you think that it would.
Rather turn it down than write something negative, because that's something that's unfair on the brand as well. You know, they're putting themselves out there. If you didn't like it, get back to them, say what your problem was, but to write a very negative review may come back and slap you in the face in the long run. We'll talk about that another time. Anyway,
talk about that another time. I mean,
that's another hangout, Fritza.
I just want to pre-promote. Mari will be leading the next session, and we're talking about disclosure. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I was going to say exactly the same thing. You know, thank you for everybody for watching, and our very next session is about disclosure, where we will be going into the ASA rules, the Google follow, no follow, and the various ways that you can disclose that are legally viable, I suppose is the way to say it. Hey. Absolutely. So thank you, Mari. Thanks for joining us, everybody who's been watching, and tune in next time for Brand Bloggers. Bye.